Good evening, class. I hope you have a nice break during the last couple of days where uh, we had this asynchronous lecture in our LAMP 211 session. Now, today, I'm going to give you the last of the series of lecture for uh, Module 1 on Module 1, that is Lecture 3. I'm going to give you the first part, which is which focuses on land governance, land management, and land administration. What is the relationship between land governance, land management, and land administration? So this evening, which is supposed to be our schedule for regular lecture, I'm going to give you this lecture and then record it so that you have something to go back. Then, of course, you can access this lecture at your own pace, so that after this lecture, I'm going to give you the module quiz. It's going to be open notes actually, but it's also take home. You can submit your answers after the lecture, or maybe a few days after after this lecture. By the way, there is still another part 2 or another segment of this lecture, which is part 2 for 1.3, and that concludes the lecture for this particular segment. No? So we will uh, do a little bit of review from the very beginning. At the beginning, we have done a lecture on the sustainable development, and then down the line, sustainable development to land development, actually. No? And then after that, we discuss something about what is land policy, land law, and then we also relate that to the hierarchy of issues in the land sector, which is the land policy on top, and then we also have we also have what we call as the land policy, and then we also have the uh, land management. The next, and down the line, you have the land administration, and so on and so forth, and such. So, no. So this morning we will start with 1.3, which is still part of the vision of land administration and management. Okay, so still on the global perspective, but we need to concentrate more fully on land administration and management to land governance. So what's the connection between land administration, land management, and land and governance? I'm going to give you the uh, what are the current discussions in the international scene? What is the state of discussions in the international across different parts of the globe? No, in terms of land governance, land administration, and land management. Now, I'm going to give you I'm share to you a lecture from Technical University of Munich, which talks about the land management and land governance experience in the Kingdom of Cambodia, or in the country of Cambodia, Royal Republic of Cambodia. No? So in that country, after having experienced, I say, for example, a, uh, a different kinds of economic system, like uh, one-man rule or dictatorial form of government. Now, after everything has settled, they are now confronted with the challenge on how to allocate their land resources, or how to allocate the assets of the nation in order that they can best uh, uh, develop the whole country with equity and sustainability. Okay, with equity and sustainability. So when they uh, engage the services of technical people from Germany, the first thing that the consultant or the technical people from Europe did was to institute and really put in place the necessary policy of the land policy of the country. Okay, and I'm going the one that is in the red uh, lettered text is actually the the vision and already a statement of policy of Cambodia, which reads, the vision of land policy in Cambodia is to administer and manage the use and administer, manage, use and distribute land in an equitable, transparent, efficient, and sustainable manner in order to contribute to achieving national goals, poverty alleviation, ensuring food security, and natural resources and environmental protection, national defense, and socioeconomic development in the context of market economy. So it's really, in its broadest sense, it covers everything with the sole purpose of addressing issues as a newly uh, instituted market economy. Okay, that also agenda on environmental protection, agenda on equitable distribution of the property, and of course contributing to national development. So it's a wide ranging, a very wide scope of statement of policy for in the in the land sector of Cambodia. And down the line, they really, after having that policy, then they declare or legislate, for example, and organize an institution that will be in charge of supervising, overseeing that this land policy is really uh, um, implemented and also provided with administrative and structural support. So they created the Supreme Council for State Reform, okay, in order to put this policy into effect. Now, the goals and activities involved in the three subsectors also, they categorize, they sectoralize the whole Cambodia. The land administration subsector, land management, and the land distribution subsector. So that's how they organize the land, say, sector in Cambodia. And like, for example, they also see to it that there should be enough uh, enough data and information, particularly on spatial data, because when you allocate and when you manage the land area in particular, say for example geographic location, like for example in Cambodia, after having undergone and having experienced very for a longest time uh, period with a, for example, war and also consequences of war, climatic, weather disturbances, and everything, the land area has undergone sizable and considerable changes already, and in terms of landscape, in terms and the whole interaction of the land and the land sector or the land area, the entire landscape of the entire country has already changed, and it's difficult to really effectively manage it when your view is only at the, for example, at the ground level. You need to see from above using a spatial data infrastructure in order to see the different the macro interaction of the landscape of the land down below so that you can better plan out how to best manage the whole area. Okay, so it is a state of the technology this time that there should be a very efficient spatial data infrastructure. Okay, so that means in here this has been applied very well in Cambodia. That in order to in order to instill, in order to put in place a very clear land management vision, they need to have at the center a spatially enabled participatory land management. Remember, spatially enabled. That means a view from the space would always dictate the direction and the planning of land use and other, say for example, uh, 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 initiatives in order to best manage the land area and land resources in Cambodia. And exactly this particular diagram or conceptual framework is being already used in Cambodia with spatial data on land management. It provides what? It provides a good, or shall we say, a reliable source of reliable source of what a reliable source of information that will provide, like for example, a more detailed, like information and allocation of land resource to its constituents. And then it will also, the spatial view of the whole area will also support sustainable development, because from above you can really very well see the interaction of the various landscape in the land of land resources that will also address on some environmental problems. And then also in the context of the whole country, like also, for example, settlements on all, for example, private ownership of property, that can also be seen in terms of how much is tolerable, how much is not, if you look at the whole landscape from above. Okay, now with that information at hand, it can really promote or provide efficient and effective services to the public and the private sector. Okay, and this is exactly what was done in Cambodia. Okay, now in land governance also we have a plan, land management plan, land administration plan, but how to implement that plan, that everybody has to have a buy-in. You need to have a stable and implementable land governance. Okay. Now, from others, land governance is a new topic. Okay. Why? It is widely used, an issue, widely discussed as an issue, and actually there is no universal definition of land governance and no fixed component, because from one country to the other, the components could vary because of its cultural, historical, and also other forms of experiences that impacts on how the people think, how the people perceive, and how the people would react to certain situation, and how the people value a certain, for example, laws and guidelines. Okay, so these are the, for example, the new thing or new things that are in a component, or in a consideration for a implementable and workable land governance. Now, land governance is still an open and hopefully do not too much confusing concept. Hopefully, no? The leadership is once again, especially from the UN authorities, and until now there is no less academic. There is to less academic discussion own contribution, because it varies from culture to culture and from country to country. Now, what do we mean? If we have land governance, we also have good governance. What do we mean by good governance in the land tenure sector? Now, when we say good governance is the declaration of land issues and challenges. And again, in Africa, good governance means the same thing to many people, or means a different thing to many people. Okay. Now, very importantly, there are principles that should be embedded in a good land governance. One is the principle that it should recognize the centrality of land to sustainable and socio-economic growth. No? First and foremost, when you have a land governance, it should recognize the centrality of the land of land to sustainable development and socio-economic growth in the livelihoods of people. Okay, there is recognition, very important, and then noting also that diversity of issues and challenges facing access to and use and management of land resources. That there is, we have to take note that there are conflicting and parallel issues along this line. We have to really tie together all of them so that there's going to be participation in the whole process. Otherwise, if there is no participation, you cannot make governance effective. And then recognizing, noting, and conscious understanding of the need for a strong system of land governance. Importante yun kaayo. Rooted in the principle of sustainability, preservation of the environment, protection, and renewability of land and related resources. No? And furthermore, a good governance must acknowledge the comprehensive consultation, the importance of the comprehensive consultation and discussion that have been conducted and experts' input into the course of preparation. It has to acknowledge that it needs a wide-ranging and comprehensive discussion. So with that principle, we are now ready to face the almost like a formal definition of land governance. Land governance as the organization is perceived as the organizational and institutional principle of land management. It also implies a spatial dimension of governance. It is the indispensable precondition for sustainable development and welfare. Because when you implement sustainable development agenda, you have like a diversity of opinion and conflicting opinion also and priorities. That's why there should be participation across the whole spectrum of stakeholders. Okay. Now going back to the the like for example a hierarchical illustration of issues in the land sector. We know that the highest, most, the topmost policy, the topmost among the hierarchy of issues is land policy, defined with its value and also with regulatory framework. Down the line, after having that land policy clearly defined and also understood, we need to have an effective and efficient land management, land administration, and down the line at the parcel level. And all of them, from land management down to the cadastre and everything, it needs a governance structure. A governance structure that is implementable and participatory in nature. So you cannot effect the good intention of the policy as like for example embedded in land management and down the line land administration if you don't have a good land governance structure. Okay, very important. It actually ties everything together in order that from land policy, from land management, or even from land policy, it actually interconnects everything in order to effectively implement reforms in the land sector. Okay. Why land governance? Why? Why? Now, land governance is very essential because there are gaps between idea and implementation. Okay, the the policy has a good intention, no quarrel about that. But how is this going to be implemented is another thing because there are various ideas and there are those uh, not clearly understood and not clearly seen from the policy statement. And then when it is implemented, it now come to the people will now come to their senses and will see what are the things that they actually have not understood very well. And this gap, so to say, will create conflict some oftentimes with the intention of a good land policy. So there should be a an implementable land governance structure. Now, also, land governance is important because one, it overcomes the problem of insecurity of tenure. Okay, insecurity of tenure, or maybe forced eviction. It also uh, what addresses multiple land regimes like statutory, colonial, customary, religious, and informal. These are multiple land regimes, no? Statutory, you have your customary, those land owned by the what? Owned by the uh, indigenous people, and from the Regalian doctrine, no, from the Regalian doctrine, unless otherwise that land area is A and D, all areas in the Philippines must be public land owned by the government. That is from the Regalian doctrine. Now, that statement that everything is owned by the government unless otherwise protected by land title, then it goes without saying that it also acknowledges the tenure or the occupancy of this customary or indigenous people. Hence, the government will also provide certain security of tenure allotted or as a different treatment and management for those land considered as statutory and also customary. No? Now, and also, land governance also overcomes the problem of overlapping of institutional mandate. No? Overlapping of institutional mandate, expensive administrative system, vested interest, and even irregular and illegal privatization of land. No? Privatization of land. Now, in therefore, the difference between governance and land management is that land land uh, land management is a land-related decision-making process, while land governance refers to decision-making framework with sound governing system. Okay, I repeat, land management is a land-related decision-making process, but how this process moves along depends on the framework. Who is going to participate? Who is going to be included? Who is going to be excluded in the discussion? Who is going to be something like that? No, it's the governance structure that defines that. But the land management will always say there is a decision-making process, participatory decision-making process. But how participatory is participatory? That is now the uh, item for land governance. No? And then you have land management is about goals, while land governance is about power. Power in a way that there is equitability, there is sustainability. It does not mean to say that those who are already powerful, then they will dominate the discussion. No. When we say land governance is about power, if there are sectors involved in the land discussion and they are powerless, then empower them. Give welcome their voices into the discussion, into the table, so that there is going to be a buy-in participatory system in a participatory manner, so that whatever policy or guidelines agreed upon will be implementable. Okay? Otherwise, kung dislodge na yung uban, then these are things that will cause na di ma-implement ang inyong guidelines. Now, both are necessary also and are supporting each other. So remember, land management is about decision-making process. Okay? But land governance is about decision-making framework. Okay? So, maingon ang land management, as I will repeat, there should be equitable and participatory, like land management uh, uh, in in our society. But how participatory is participatory? That is now the framework to be done by land governance system. Okay, so what are the recent steps taken in the international organization to address land governance? Okay, these are the international steps taken by international experience to address land governance. You have There is what we call as international land coalition. Okay? Advancing the monitoring of land governance for ensuring impact on from poverty. No? From at a policy level to a landscape level, land issue is really very ticklish. Okay? You can just imagine the recent incidents in shooting incidents in Panique, Tarlac, for example, just recently, di ba? And all those that culminated into the shooting incidents, if you trace it back, is actually tractable to land dispute, land issue. People would kill somebody else because they are, you know, uh, they are imposing or emphasizing or even really make it evident that their tenure and ownership of a property is really permanent and they don't want conflict. Okay? In other words, land is a very important asset for survival. And if you zoom out, look at the whole landscape of land resources around the globe, or most, if not all, of the current like wars and rumors of wars around the globe is actually traceable to what we call as land dispute. Okay, land dispute in the Middle East. It's always about land. No, now Pakistan, for example, has declared this time that they will not recognize Israel unless the Palestinian autonomy is recognized. Oh, can you imagine? And that is about land dispute, land issue. So really, the issue about land cannot be oversimplified. Now, in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, there are various challenges, and land governance is still part of the whole issue of sustainable development. No? Now, there is what we call as land governance support for the Sustainable Development Agenda. Now, this one is uh, uh, created by, like for example, Land Equity International for the purpose of pursuing various land issues for a very important objective of harmonizing and also equitably distributing the wealth and resources from land. Elements of land sector governance, property rights, for example, land management, and then ownership and information of land assets. And disputes also are resolved and conflict is managed. So there is very important ng land, property rights to land. No? Manage and what is the role of the state in land management and distribution. Okay, these are the elements of the land sector governance. And you may see it very clearly. At the middle is land governance. Now, this this Pentagon actually will also provide us what are the surrounding issues around around land governance. In other words, what are the very important issues that good land governance is going to address? Okay, if you have a good land governance, it addresses the following, like, or it manages the following effectively: dispute resolution and conflict management in the land sector. Kung maayo inyong governance, wala hukus-pukus, then disputes and resolving disputes and conflict is very quick. And then also land governance will also provide facilities for legal and institutional framework. For land use planning also, good governance will promote and enhance good land use planning. And public sector provision of land information. Transparency is very important. When you say transparency, if you are very good at governance, land governance, then you know exactly how transparent is transparency. Okay, and other public land management also. No? Just like, for example, experience in Thailand, they still have problem with good governance or land governance. Why? Because uh, there are areas in in their country where it is reserved for ownership of the king or royal ownership. Okay, but people are really vandalizing those uh, properties inside the royal reservation. Like, for example, the white elephant that they are maintaining in their royal, say for example, reservation. People will encroach inside the royal reservation and cut the tusk, putlan o sungo ang white elephant. Can you imagine? Mga matay, mga matay ng ubang white elephant kay i-sedate nila pagka tumba sa white elephant, gabso nila ang sungo sa white elephant. And then sometimes they get infected, and once infected, the elephant will die. So these are unscrupulous, no? Unscrupulous practices that is a result of less than acceptable governance structure or less than uh, implementable governance structure. Now, how to monitor our land sector or land governance implementation? Well, in every country there is what we call as land governance, for example, accountability framework. So it can either it varies from country to country. Now, the progress thus far on piloting for land governance, we have 4 countries with a more respectable land governance implementation, like for example Indonesia, Kyrgyz Republic, Peru, and Tanzania. Then there are also like countries also in Africa have good results in pursuing a good and implementable land governance. Let's take, for example, the case of Africa in Tanzania. Okay, improving land sector governance in Africa. The case of Tanzania. Now, land governance, by definition, when they implement this good land governance, is the process by which decisions are made regarding access to land or use of land, the manner in which these decisions are implemented, and the way that conflicting interests in the land are reconciled. So, una ilang definition sa land governance. No? It is a process by which how decisions are made because framework man. So, ang land management is decision making process. Pero ang how decisions are made, that is land governance. No? So, and the way that conflicting interests and land conflict is reconciled. Okay? So, we also have the land governance experience in Kyrgyz Republic. No? You have the conference that they sponsored has 6 themes: land governance, building sustainable and well-governed land, land administration system, securing land tenure, making land markets work for all, improving access to land, and land governance for rapid urbanization. The key in land governance is that don't tinker on tenurial rights. You have to manage the tenurial rights in a way that these people, affected people, will have a buy-in on the effective implementation of governance structure. Okay? Now, land governance is a crucial issue in meeting sustainable development goals of the United Nations. And then the need for land governance as a guideline is actually expressed also in various conferences. FAO, with its partner, working on adoption of voluntary guidelines, land resource, land and natural resource tenure. Improved land governance should focus on the following. Okay, if you want to see an improved land governance, it should focus on the following. One is it should be based on national policy. Then there is land reform and land distribution. Okay, security of tenure, eviction and relocation, women's land rights, natural resource management, land administration, land dispute and conflict, land management measures like land use planning. Okay, so that is, the various the focus of land governance. You will notice that what, although these are not arranged hierarchically, but you will notice that uh, the public interest is first on the list, like public or private interest. No? And then principles of land governance, because as we have said, access to land resource. No? These are the specific principles in land governance. Access to land, even, okay? One first principle is access to land should be equitable. Given the importance of land for a wide range of economic, social, and ecological environmental objectives, no groups within the society should legally or politically politically excluded from being able to access land. So it is equitable. Okay? And then another principle is security of land tenure should be provided to members of society. So ownership must be respected, ownership must be corrected, and ownership must be managed. Okay? That is very important in land governance. Otherwise, if ownership of land is not respected, it's going to create trouble. No? So another principle is specific measures should be taken to ensure access to land. No? In other words, access and benefit sharing of land in the land sector must be safeguarded, must be protected, or must be enhanced. Okay, because there are say benefits found in the land sector, in the land resource, that are public in nature. You cannot privatize, like water. Oh, are you going to privatize that? And then you deprive the free access opportunity for people who are not who are maybe below you, or not owning the property. No, that is not possible. So access and benefit sharing of right, particularly right among women. No? Another principle is decision making regarding land and natural resources should be transparent. Okay, should be open discussion. There should be consultation in a way. Number 5, land management should be decentralized under the principle of subsidiarity. Okay, the management of land, that's right, our land, the management of forest is actually almost like relegated almost completely to the LGU. Di na mag-apil-apil ang national government. The national government will only facilitate the implementation. Again, the rule of law should be applied to all. Okay, the rule of law. Whatever is implemented, it should not be against existing laws. Another is effective and efficient land administration be provided to all members of society. So What is the difference between land management and land administration? Land management is all about allocation of various land resource to its optimal, effective use for purposes of safeguarding or protecting the environment. While land administration is about individual ownership. And how is this defined? Okay, that is land administration. Another thing is sustainability is being ensured by taking long-term perspective. So that means to say, in instituting a land governance, it should be that should be respect and consideration of people that is going to be in the future, the beneficiary in the future. Now let's take, for example, land governance from the vantage point of the urban dwellers. Now, land governance, there is strong link between land and poverty. Very clear. There is a strong connection between land and poverty. Hence, if you want to address poverty, you might, it is best for you to address land use in the land sector. Okay? And then governance principle framework is that transparency, there is low risk of corruption, and also the opportunity for civic engagement is with enough safeguards. No? Now, critical land governance issues. What are the critical land governance issues this time? One of the issues is land policy development process. State lands and customary lands. Usap po na nga, asa man ang state land? Ang state land, i-occupy ang naglain. Ang customary lands, lanay na yung encroach. Magkagubot na po. Ano, no? And then, particularly in the urban areas, slum upgrading and informal settlement. How are you going to manage? Just like in Boracay recently, no? There are IPs, there are mga indigenous people occupying the area much ahead than the real estate and the industrial developers. And then here we are in the government. We must protect the rights and the historical rights of the IPs or indigenous people. What did the government do? The government distributed titles to people who are occupying property in the area, although it is not fit for agriculture, but it is to protect their rights because sooner or later they will be evicted because the land is going to be developed for something else. And then before that they are evicted, they should get a fair share of their historical right. In other words, di sila ma-logic negotiation because if you have titles, then you can demand a more equitable price. And then land governance also is about land use planning, land conflict, no? Land conflict, and also access to land in the post-disaster and complex situation. Gender and inheritance right is also one issue in land governance. Now, what are the effects of poorly implemented governance? Could be indications of weak governance, indications of good governance. So let's take, for example, weak governance. If governance is weak, there is insecurity of tenure, rampant land conflict, social and political instability because of wayuta ang tao, insecure yun. Huh? And then erosion of ethics because nobody respects the law. Inequitable, unsustainable natural resource. Why? May mga tao, wa man respetuhi ang ilang ang ilang ownership, ang ilang historical right. Maingon sila, di man po ni ato, ato na lang ni kwan, kutob sa atong madala. O di na to ni manage yung maayo, total, ni ato. Something like that, that's the attitude. While in an area where there is good land governance, it protects the poor. It allows for just resolution of land disputes, brings rule of the law within the reach of the poor. So, kuan po ang mga less in life, you will have more of the law, something like that. No? It reduces fraud and bribery. Remember, the the intention of, like for example, the intention of land governance as far as securing the rights of the less privileged people. These people who are poor, who are less in life, must have more of the law, because otherwise nobody will protect them. Because there is a natural tendency of people to really overclaim, which are supposedly dili na gyud itaila. It allows for more equitable process, provide incentive for investment, okay, and allows the state to benefit from land taxation. Kadamdam ko atong dito sa Europe, ingon siya nga, ingon to po sa ka farmer dito. Nga, gipangutana mi, what are you doing with your property or land resource in the Philippines? Is there such thing as private ownership? So nga, yeah, we said yes. So how do you maintain your ownership of the land as a private person? For agricultural land, for example, nangutana siya. We say, we pay taxes every year. What? You pay taxes even without income from land? Yeah, that's the government. That is to ensure that you are not a violator of the law, so you pay your taxes. That means you maintain your real right. Yeah. Here in Europe, we don't pay land taxes. We pay income taxes, because if you are not going to make your land profitable, then you will be questioned by the law. Ano? You are absconding your responsibility. So you better make the land productive and profitable. And that's where the government will collect taxes, income taxes, daily land tax. No? Another form of, say for example, problems in land governance is state capture. Kung imong state capture, maka-capture mga, because the state own everything, but at the expense also of the trust and confidence of people, which is very important for land governance. Another examples of bad practices in land governance is that administrative corruption, bribery, favoritism, something like that. These are problems in land governance. Another thing is discriminatory treatment. Women and disabled people must have more of the and more often than not, even in our culture, family and community culture, in some countries, women are not supposed to inherit any property. It's still in place in many countries. Like for example, in Thailand, if the woman marries a foreigner, she will be stripped with inheritance right. Di na siya pwede maka-inherit. But in our country, lipay pa ta. Naitay brother-in-law nga kano. Kay that kano also will help us develop the land or something like that. No? But in their countries, it's different. No? Even in Japan, even in Papua New Guinea, sa ila sa PNG, I talked to a citizen of Papua New Guinea, bisan pa umumari ang ilang mga lalaki o foreigner. Like for example, they marry a foreigner. The boy or the man will pay the woman equivalent to 500,000 pesos. So that means, nakadagang anak ng babae, na because the women are not given the right to inherit property. The only sense of importance of women is that when they get married, the father or the parents of the boy will parents of the woman. Na minimum na minimum amount of money is about $12,000 US. No? But minimum na $20,000 US. That's why, according to my friend, if we marry a Filipina, the custom of their country, if we marry a Filipina and the Filipina is a woman, of course, woman, then the parents of the woman will get rich in the Philippines because they will receive 500,000 pesos. If they are poor, it's enough to start a small store already, no? And have a more income. So that is how they respect the women. But the women are not allowed to inherit property. Okay? And then another example of weak governance, lack of capacity, lack of institutional and human capacity. So, tools for improving land transparency in the land administration. What are the tools? Promotion of ethics, increased transparency through institutional reforms, and monitoring and assessment system. It's more tools for improving transparency in the land sector. Now, supporting goals. Good practices in land governance or land administration is geoinformation technologies and communication technologies. So, very important, in place yun ang ICT. If we expect to have a good land governance, ICT enabled yun para it can just settle disputes without having to say something if the technology says so. No? So, geoinformation, modern data visualization and dissemination is very important in GIS and LIS planning for in the land sector. Very important. Kay people, for example, has the tendency to move monuments, ibalhin ng mohon, and that can cause disputes in the land sector. No? And there are people, a lot of people died because of that, because they will fight moving monuments. No? Very important. But with the recent technology, bisan pag i-move na nimong monument, malocate, di po nag-asa dapit. Because there is now a technology in surveying it's no longer dependent on the markers of monument, but dependence on satellite, say for example, georeference. And the georeference included, embedded in the title, for example, will just be encoded into the surveying instrument, and it can locate by just one point, it can locate already the boundary without the monument. So, wala na, di na kakasupak. Okay? You will also be fine if you really move the monument. No? So, what are the future challenges in land governance? The challenge would be advanced knowledge, importante, because you cannot put in place a good land governance without technology. And then land governance also must be integrated in approach. Okay, integrated in its approach. So that is the relationship between land governance, land management, and land administration. We will discuss more about land administration, land governance, like when we go to the next segment of the lecture. Right now, I have done the first half of the lecture for like 1.3, the global framework for land management, Okay? So with that note, I hope that you would be able to really um, say observe the necessary, for example, the necessary understanding to be able to see what land administration is all about. Okay? Land administration is all about, and what are the principles, what are the guidelines, what are the issues in land administration and management. So be ready with that. You can go back to the previous lecture and see how these things are tied together in order to have a more comprehensive understanding of land management. No? So right now, I'll end up my lecture on segment 1. Before the weekends, I will also give you the segment 2, probably during the weekend, after Christmas, and then comes January, comes January, before January, I'm going to upload again the lecture for part 2 of 1.3, so that by January we will start with module 2 and down the line module 3 by February, and that's end of the story or end of the end of the whole lecture. And then again, I'm going to give you once I'm going to upload the lecture for 1.3 or the part 2 of this particular lesson, then 1 week after that, okay, I'm going to give you a take-home quiz and then take-home exam, and then after that, you will submit the your answer, because it's actually a case analysis in your exam. No, it's going to be a case analysis. So take note of that. Then after a few days, I will upload again part 2 for you to finish and be ready to answer the case analysis as your exam. Okay? So with that note, thank you very much for having me here with me, and I will see you in the next lecture. So